Part 44. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Se Nian Bai. Chapter 431. Since Su Ming had already made the decision, and even the panda Yingying herself did not object, Xiao Li had no choice but to follow Su Ming in fear. The two men and the bear sneaked out of the back door of the panda house and entered the keeper passage below the bear mountain. This was Su Ming's second time to this cave-like passage. The first time was when he had just started working and the black bear family was bitten by bees. He came in from the passage to save the black bear, but the big black bear smashed the beehive stupidly, killing the previous generation of queen bees and causing anger among the bees. If Su Ming had not used his mental power to control the bees, something bad would have happened. Roar! As soon as he walked into the passage, a low roar came from the iron fence next to him. It was a bit hot. In addition to the naughty little black bear who was still playing in the water outside, the big black bear couple hid in the dark of the cage to cool off. Their noses were very sensitive and they smelled a strange smell at once. "Don't shoot, it's me," Su Ming whistled across the cage. The two frightened black bears stood up, shook their fur, walked to the iron fence, and sniffed Su Ming with their silly noses. Although Su Ming did not directly manage Bear Mountain, he would stroll around every day when he was free, wandering around the various animal areas. The black bears knew Su Ming, but they did not know pandas. After confirming that the people who came were Su Ming and the breeder, the two black bears lowered their heads at the same time, looking down at this strange little guy. Yingying was also very curious, raised her head, and looked at the two big black bears. Why do they look similar, but the fur on these two guys looks so low-end? Except for a little white hair on the chest, there is not even a little white hair in other places. Failure. The three bears, across the cage, stared at each other. In front of the two big black bears, Yingying looked like a child who had not grown up. "What are you looking at? How do you know I'm looking at you if you don't look at me?" "I looked at you, so what? Try looking at another one." The scene was a bit awkward. Even though both sides were separated by iron fences, Xiao Li was still very nervous. He seemed to smell the smell of gunpowder. He clenched the long-handled isolation fork in his hand, ready to stop both sides from fighting at any time. Su Ming was not in a hurry. Compared with wild animals, the animals in the zoo are more docile. When they are full, they will not attack easily unless they are frightened. He waved his hand slightly, signaling Xiao Li not to move. The three bears stared at each other for a while. A big black bear suddenly turned his head and looked at the fur of another one, then lowered his head to look at his belly and legs, which were visible places, and finally looked puzzled. "Woof woof." Yingying made a puppy-like sound and actually pressed her body against the fence. This action scared Xiao Li so much that he broke out in a cold sweat. But the big black bear did not take the opportunity to attack. Instead, it raised its paw and touched a patch of white fur on Yingying's back. Roar, roar. The roar of the big black bear was not scary. It sounded quite happy. Another black bear also dared to touch Yingying's white fur. Yingying twisted her head and was very proud. It seems that the panda and the bear get along well. Xiao Li looked puzzled. He looked at the black bear and then at Su Ming. This was totally out of common sense. Black bears are famous for their bad tempers, and giant pandas are not easy to mess with. How could three troublemakers get along peacefully together? Is it because of the director's face? Xiao Li suddenly had an idea that he himself did not believe. However, this peace was soon broken. The little black bear playing outside heard the noise, climbed out of the pool, and ran to the cage. Roar! Seeing a fellow of about the same size as it in the passage, the little black bear was immediately furious. He stood up across the cage and roared at Yingying, opening his big mouth to reveal his sharp teeth. Yingying didn't give the little black bear a good look either. She twisted her butt and rushed to the back of the exhibition at the door. She slapped the little black bear outside through the fence. There was a gap between the fences, so Ying couldn't slap it. The little black bear subconsciously tilted his head back. Although he didn't hit it, the little black bear has always been the little bully in the Bear Mountain. He has never been bullied like this. He was immediately furious. With his big mouth, saliva flowed down the corners of his mouth. He also slapped Ying through the fence. Pay 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 papa, bang bang bang, roar roar roar, woof woof woof, the two little guys launched a fierce attack on both sides of the fence. Most of the attacks fell on the iron fence, shaking the fence. Director, send the panda back now while it's not injured. The little black bear must think that the panda has invaded their territory, Xiao Li said anxiously. Su Ming was a little surprised. If it was an invasion of territory, why didn't the big black bear get angry? Adult animals have the strongest sense of territory. Turning his head to look at the two big black bears, they were completely indifferent to the fight between the two little bears. They leaned lazily against the wall, just like the smoking bears on TV, and had no intention of intervening in the fight. Su Ming did not use his mental power to stop Ying and the little black bear directly, but just explored what they were thinking. Director. Xiao Li's worried voice came from behind again. Su Ming suddenly turned his head, it's okay. After using his mental power to investigate, Su Ming was speechless. It was not because of the invasion of his territory as he had guessed, nor was it because of the competition for food. The food in the zoo was too good. The two smaller bears were full of energy and had nowhere to vent. Now that they met, it was a good opportunity to have fun. Moreover, their thoughts were like those of children. The little grizzly bear probably felt that this bear of the same size as him had so many white hairs, which stole his limelight, so of course he was unhappy. Ying was used to being the center of attention and was used to being arrogant. This guy in front of him looked similar to himself, and was simply a blatant copy of himself. Piracy would be fine, but he was so ugly and dared to be so fierce. One was a wild child whose limelight was stolen, and the other was a little princess. When she found that a village girl was wearing the same long skirt as herself, how could she have a good face? For various reasons, the two little bears immediately fought. Director, we can't just watch them fight, can we? Xiao Li didn't know so much, he was just worried about something happening. Why not? Su Ming turned around and asked him with a smile, how do you usually vent your excess energy? Xiao Li's face suddenly turned red, and he lowered his head and said embarrassedly, Director, why are you asking this? Su Ming rolled his eyes, what are you thinking? I mean, it's normal for children to fight, it can vent their energy and cultivate wildness. Not only do we watch them fight, let everyone watch. Xiao Li was dumbfounded, you really just want to watch the fun? A news report was broadcast on a current affairs program on Yangchuan TV. According to our station, Muhammad Ali, the black American boxing champion, died of illness in Phoenix Hospital at 3 a.m. yesterday local time at the age of 74. Muhammad Ali, an American boxer. Born in Louisville, he began his boxing career at the age of 12 and won the title of heavyweight champion for the first time at the age of 22. In the same year, he defeated Liston again, and professional boxing entered the Ali era. Since then, Ali has won the heavyweight champion title 22 times in 20 years. Ali's traditional funeral will be held in his hometown of Louisville, Kentucky on Thursday. As the host was talking, he suddenly showed an inappropriate smile. In order to commemorate this great athlete, Yangchuan City Zoo will hold a special memorial event this Sunday. Division. Commemorate the big hero who was banned Big Bear Big Breast. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 432. Although they are both world-famous boxing champions, Muhammad Ali is obviously different from boxing champions like Tyson and Joe Louis. The reason why ordinary boxing champions are famous is mainly because of their superb skills in boxing and their distinctive personal characteristics. But Muhammad Ali became famous because he resisted the conscription of the US government and had a very famous saying: "I will never run thousands of miles away to murder the poor there if I want to die. You are my enemy, and it has nothing to do with the Chinese, Vietnamese, and Japanese. I want freedom, but you don't give it to me. I want justice, but you don't give it to me, but you ask me to go somewhere else to fight for you. In the United States, you didn't stand up to protect my rights and beliefs, and you can't do this in your own country." So in the following decades, Ali was labeled with a lot of high-sounding labels such as democracy fighter, Westerners who sympathize with the Third World, and freedom fighter. No one knows what Ali himself thinks. Just like Chinese language classes in China, students are always asked to summarize many central ideas that even the author may not have thought of. Some of these labels may not be Ali's true thoughts. But it must be said that he is a very principled person. Everyone has principles, but not many people are willing to pay the price for adhering to them. Being a hero has its price. People like Batman who pick up girls and live in a big villa and save the world by chance are at best kind-hearted superpowers, and I am afraid they cannot be heroes. In order to stick to his principles, Ali paid a heavy price, so he was sentenced to prison and his boxing license was revoked. Unlike boxing champions such as Tyson, Ali may never have really reached his peak competitive state in his life, and was banned when he was rising the fastest. A few years later, when he stepped onto the boxing ring again, although he still won many honors, he had already begun to decline. According to statistics, most of Ali's defeats in his career were in the later period. After retiring, he suffered from Parkinson's syndrome. Doctors judged that the disease was directly related to repeated head hits. In his more than 20-year career, Ali suffered nearly 30,000 heavy blows to the head, most of which occurred after he returned to the boxing ring. In Time magazine's list of 100 celebrities of the 20th century, Ali was ranked first in the category of heroes and idols. Su Ming had seen the news online before the TV station broadcast the news. Ali's news has been on the headlines these days, and Ali himself has almost become a myth. The numerous articles praising and remembering him have made people a little tired of it. Occasionally, in a small corner, I found an interesting comparison. If China decided to send troops to attack Japan, Liu Xiang refused to serve in the military and stood up to say the same thing as Ali, what would be the difference in the result? This analogy is not quite appropriate, but it can reflect many phenomena worth pondering. Fortunately, as a lazy person whose brain is often not enough, Su Ming never thinks deeply about these issues, and he just laughs it off after reading it. That day, when he saw the two little bears being dissatisfied with each other, Su Ming came up with an idea that could not only let the two little guys vent their excess energy, but also fit in with the current hot events and commemorate Ali. Yang Chuan TV station made a small advertisement for the zoo, and Ali happened to be quite famous in China. He had been directly received by Deng Lao. Less than an hour after the zoo opened the next day, the flow of people increased significantly compared to usual. Some were curious tourists, while others were real Ali fans, holding large signs with Ali's portraits in their hands. Boxing match direction, enter from here. A small signpost was added to each fork in the zoo. Seeing the words on the signpost, the tourists became a little confused. They thought that the so-called commemorative activities of the zoo were assemblies, candles, and flowers, but no one expected that the zoo would actually hold a boxing match. How could a zoo be qualified to hold a boxing match? Some smarter tourists vaguely guessed that it might be a performance between animals, and there were gorilla boxing matches in the circus. Following the signpost, tourists continued to walk from the small path and gathered outside the Bear Mountain. Huh? Look down. Oh my God, what is this? Today's Xiangshan Mountain looks unchanged from the outside, but if you lie on the fence at the edge of Xiangshan Mountain, you will find that the inside of Xiangshan Mountain has undergone a slight transformation. There is a large platform of several dozen square meters in the center. In the middle of the platform, there is a large circle with the word written inside. It is actually a martial arts arena. The world's #1 martial arts competition. Some fans of the Dragon Ball comics present at the scene saw at a glance that the prototype of this platform was the martial arts competition arena where masters from all walks of life compete for the world's #1 in Dragon Ball. No, no. This is the God's Arena of the Eternal Island. Some other World of Warcraft fans immediately raised objections. There are 4 statues more than 1 person tall at the 4 corners of the martial arts arena below. Although they were not carved very carefully in a hurry, they can still be identified as a white crane, a blue dragon, a white tiger, and a strange animal that looks like a yak. I feel it's more like Game of Thrones. Someone spoke weakly, because on one side of the competition arena below, there was a tall podium with several people sitting on it, and behind the arena there was a row of battle flags fluttering in the wind. The scene looked like a knight's tournament in the European Middle Ages. Ahem, cough, cough, dear audience friends, dear tourists, dear children, dear friends. Su Ming sat on the podium and spoke into the microphone in front of him with a smile, and his voice suddenly sounded around Xiangshan. Yangchuan City Zoo, the opening match of the first competitive competition has officially begun. Now, here are the 2 contestants who will participate in the competition today. A burst of exciting music was played from the speakers at the right time. A contestant wore a big cloak, covering his whole body tightly, and entered the stage from one side of the competition stage. As soon as he appeared like this, the whole audience burst into laughter. Although it is blocked by the cloak and cannot see the true appearance of the contestant below, the way it walks is so funny, and its big and fat body twists and turns. It doesn't look like a mighty warrior at all, but more like a fat married wife. Hey, don't underestimate this player, Su Ming acted as the commentator. He couldn't help but laugh while sitting on the stage. He said with a smile, "Now, I will bring you something from the bamboo forest in Sichuan." The hermit in the depths of the Sea of Clouds, the fat yet agile warrior, the inheritor of China's mysterious martial arts, Panda Yingying. As soon as he finished speaking, the soldier under the cloak ripped off his cloak. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 433. As soon as Su Ming finished speaking, Yingying threw off her cloak and revealed her true face. After a short collective silence, the audience burst into cheers. There were whistles and laughter. Many people waved vigorously at Yingying and took out their mobile phones to take pictures. Yingying on the field was completely dressed as a human being at this time. He wears a small straw hat on his head, and wears a red tang suit with traditional Chinese characteristics on his plump body. There is a small wine gourd hanging on his belt, and he even wears a pair of pears on his hind legs. The big cotton shoes look like the Pandaren in the game. Being cheered by the audience, Panda Yingying stood up straight like crazy, raised her 2 bare paws above her head, opened her mouth wide, exposed her fierce teeth, and roared with great force. Woof! Hearing this cry, the audience went crazy with laughter. This Nima Panda cry was so heartbreaking that several audience members who were drinking water spit out the water with a puff. A girl hugged her boyfriend and trembled with laughter. I can't even straighten my waist. After Yingying stood up, attentive viewers noticed that her 2 front paws were also wearing thick gloves, but the big gloves were in the shape of cat paws. Not only does it wear big cat paw gloves, but the big-toed cotton shoes it wears are also embroidered with 2 big cat heads. The overall image looks quite kawaii, like a boring and sexy fat man who lives in seclusion in the mountains to practice martial arts. In order to let everyone know that this competition is safe, Su Ming also put a safety mask on Wang Guang's mouth. So the woof sound just now sounded vague. Yingying raised her 2 front paws and spun in a circle. After it appeared, on the other side of the competition stage, in the dark animal pen, the second contestant appeared. He was also wearing a cloak, but his face was not covered. What kind of look is this? So familiar, so familiar. But I can't remember it all at once. It does look familiar. This contestant has a dark face, big round eyes, and a long mouth. He appears in front of everyone wearing a very stylish red cloak with embroidered clouds. He also wears a big red hat on his head. There is a trident branch on the hat, which is similar to the ancient military attaché hat. The bright red hat makes the little black bear's face darker, like a big briquette. When all the viewers saw this scene, whether they were men, women, old or young, they had a very familiar feeling of seeing it, but they couldn't think of what it looked like for a while. Su Ming's voice sounded again. Now, I will bring you a big monster from Black Wind Mountain, a local monster from Black Wind Cave, who is highly appreciated by Guanxian Bodhisattva, and who is both civilized and military. Before Su Ming could finish speaking, the minds of the audience outside Xiong Mountain suddenly brightened up. As if they suddenly remembered something, they collectively laughed and answered loudly, "Black bear, weird/spirit. Ha ha ha, yes, it's the black bear monster." This competition was not intended to be a tense and frightening violent scene. Seeing the audience laughing happily, Su Ming also enjoyed it. The little black bear below heard the audience's shouts and imitated Yingying's behavior just now. He stood up and waved his big bear paw at the audience stage. Wow! A burst of exclamation. When the little black bear appeared, he walked on all fours and wore a red cloak. Only his head was visible, but when he stood up, his whole body was exposed. He is dressed in golden armor, with a lion belt on his waist, a breast protector on his chest, a red scarf on his neck, and cloud-climbing boots on his feet. Together with the sky-high trident crown on his head and the fiery red cape, he looks like a perfect figure. Take off and look like a mighty ancient golden armor general. If they had seen the whole body earlier, the audience would have immediately guessed that the little black bear cosplayer is a black bear spirit. Its outfit is based on the appearance of the black bear spirit in the old version of Journey to the West. Outside the venue, the audience was still laughing and making noise, taking photos frantically with their mobile phones. On the competition stage below, the two bears had already started fighting after meeting. Yingying, who was dressed as an ancient hermit, and a small black bear who was dressed as a golden armored warrior. They were about the same size and rushed towards each other with howling. "Hey, these two people don't follow the rules. The referee hasn't started yet," Su Ming said over the loudspeaker with a smile. With a bang, the two cubs collided and started fighting. It stands to reason that the most eye-catching aspect of this performance is the cosplay of both parties, not the actual fight. Because bear fights are not very exciting, they are a bit like shrews, scratching with their claws, slapping with their hands, biting with their mouths. They are just two shrews with terrifying strength. What's more, both players are wearing thick armor, with big masks on their mouths, and their hands, feet, and claws are all wearing gloves and shoes. They will not cause any substantial harm, and there is definitely no exciting scene of blood and flesh flying around. However, the audience was somewhat surprised to find that the fight between these two bears was quite orderly. The black bear spirit walked in a wide path, punching and kicking straight forward, making the tiger and tiger fly. But Yingying, who is obviously fatter, is very flexible, like a ball. Sometimes she rolls on the spot a long way to avoid the black bear attack, and sometimes she jumps up all of a sudden as if there are springs under her feet. "Lao Gao, just punch the black bear." The black bear spirit gave Yingying a brutal straight punch. This was a powerful punch that even Sun Wukong had to dodge. "Yingying, get out of the way. It's getting out of the way. Damn it. A hole has been smashed in the arena. If Yingying gets hit by this, she won't feel good." Yingying is fighting back. What? It actually jumped up and kicked. Wow, what an exaggerated move. It's not a panda at this moment. Storm Liquor-chan, Zhu Talon, Shea Hao are possessed. The spirit of the Shadow Pan sect is carried forward in it. The essence of the panda people's martial arts for 3,000 years is fully reflected in this kick. The black bear demon is in trouble now. Hey, I said this move is too exaggerated. The black bear demon seized the flaw and ahead the hammer hit Ying-Ying's belly, and Ying-Ying started to roll again, almost rolling out of the edge of the arena and losing directly. Fortunately, Ying-Ying has a lot of meat in her belly. Wow, did you see it? It's just a sea of meat. Oh my, no one thought that the black bear demon was careless in the pursuit and was punched by Ying-Ying. Wow, will it also have dark circles under its eyes? Let's wait and see. The fight was fierce below, and the audience around laughed. Only on the commentary desk, the other two anchors sitting side by side with Su Ming looked at Su Ming with a depressed look. Su Ming was full of energy in the live broadcast, and he directly snatched their work. He monopolized the microphone and spoke with saliva flying, and his eyebrows were flying. I hate microphone tyrants the most. The little female anchor on the left pouted and muttered. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 434. The fight between the black bear spirit and the panda man lasted about 4 or 5 minutes. The two sides fought back and forth, and it was hard to tell who was better. Their strength was too close. Fighting is definitely a sport that consumes a lot of physical energy. Just like a boxing match, a professional player only lasts 3 minutes per round. The two bears fought hard and were exhausted. After the last punch, the black bear spirit was exhausted and didn't care to check the results. He lay on his back on the fighting stage, gasping for breath, unable to move. Wow, everyone exclaimed. At this time, as long as Panda Ying-Ying came forward and gave it a few hits, she could easily win. Unexpectedly, Ying-Ying was also at the end of her strength. She used her habitual rolling action to dodge the black bear monster's punch, but her technical action was deformed. She couldn't control the direction while rolling, and rolled to the corner of the arena. That direction happened to be the pool. In the stunned eyes of all the audience, Ying-Ying seemed to be doing slow motion, 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles. With a splash, Ying-Ying fell from the stage into the water, splashing a large group of waves. The water in the small pool was very shallow. Ying-Ying popped her head out, splashed twice, and lay on the edge of the pool, gasping for breath. The tourists laughed. The two players appeared in amazing ways, the fight was fierce, and even the way it ended was so unexpected. Su Ming used his mental power to test it. The two guys didn't suffer any real injuries, but they were very tired. It's good for them to move around and sweat in the summer, saving their strength. Of course there are rewards after the fight. Xiao Li, the administrator of Bear Mountain, wore a thick safety suit and rushed out of the Bear Mountain passage, carrying a large watermelon and placing it in the center of the arena. Smelling the sweet smell of watermelon, the little black bear rolled over, stood up, and staggered towards the watermelon barrel. Ying-Ying climbed out of the water with her hands and feet, grabbed the arena with her forelimbs, and kicked her 2 short legs in the air for a few times, and climbed back onto the stage. The audience quieted down again. A large barrel of watermelon was placed in the center of the arena, and the two bears approached the watermelon from 2 directions. Are these two guys going to fight again? Have a battle for watermelon? Unexpectedly, probably because they were too tired to cover up, the two bears did not fight this time. Both sides walked to the watermelon barrel, looked at each other, and gave up violence at the same time. They each took a large piece of watermelon from the barrel, and then leaned on both sides of the barrel that had been cooled with ice cubes, and ate the watermelon with a click, and lived in peace. The audience put their hearts at ease. At the beginning, the two bears were majestic and fierce when they appeared. It was interesting to watch them fight. But now they are so tired. If the zoo forces the two bears to fight again, it would be a bit inhumane. Ahem, then I announce that the winner of the opening match of the first martial arts competition in Yangchuan Zoo is the Black Bear Spirit, Su Ming's voice sounded in the stands. This answer does not need Su Ming to announce. Anyone present can see it as long as they are not blind. However, some tourists keenly caught the key points in Su Ming's words, lying on the fence and shouting at the rostrum, "Director, you said the opening match. Are there any more matches later?" "Yes, since it is the first martial arts competition, it can't be just one match. Besides, Su Ming said that this is just the opening match." After asking this question, all the tourists became curious and cast their eyes on Su Ming. The answer is beyond doubt, there will definitely be subsequent matches. When will it start? Who will play against whom in the next match? Is there a list of participants? The weather was quite hot, but the enthusiasm of the tourists on site was even higher. They surrounded the fence outside Xiangshan and asked questions to the rostrum. It can be seen that the opening battle just now gave the tourists a refreshing feeling and aroused everyone's emotions at once. It's a pity that the battle time is too short. Counting the opening, fighting and eating watermelon at the end, it only took about 10 minutes in total, which was not exciting at all. In the expectant eyes, Su Ming smiled and pushed the microphone to the female anchor next to him. Ah, the female anchor was stunned. This guy had been acting as a microphone tyrant just now. Why did he become so considerate and take the initiative to give the microphone to himself? Su Ming smiled and whispered to her ear, saying that you are beautiful, so it is better for you to say things that offend people. Female anchor. Hey, the guy on the rostrum is not flirting with girls, hurry up and start the next one. Director, what are you doing? Ahaha. The female anchor on the rostrum rolled her eyes at Su Ming, cleared her throat, put on a smile, and said to the tourists in a very sweet voice, "Dear tourists and friends, there will be several competitions in the first martial arts competition, but there is only an opening ceremony today, so it ends here." Sure enough, the tourists were not happy, and the female anchor hurriedly continued, "Everyone should understand that this is the first time the zoo has held a martial arts competition, so of course it requires sufficient preparation. Today's game is just a trial operation. It's still useful for girls to act coquettishly. If Su Ming acted coquettishly on the stage, mineral water bottles would probably be thrown at him. Then when will it be? Give me a definite answer." "Yes, I'll bring my kids to see it next time." "Director, please give me an accurate time. I will go back and prepare. Next time I come, I will also cosplay," a cosplay enthusiast asked loudly. "For the specific time of the subsequent competition, please pay attention to Director Su's Weibo, Daowenyuk, where we will publish the specific competition schedule and battle list," the female anchor said sweetly. "Finally, thank you for your support today." Hearing this, the audience who often watched the live broadcast wanted to laugh. Are they going to ask for gifts? But this competition looks quite interesting, and it is worth giving some gifts. Unexpectedly, the female anchor said, "The weather is hot, the zoo has prepared watermelons for everyone. Everyone can go to the zoo canteen to get a piece of watermelon for free. In addition, there will be small surprises waiting for everyone in the canteen." The crowd said, "Oh, it turned out to be giving watermelons. The zoo is really considerate. It's so hot, and I'm a little thirsty after watching the competition for a while. Especially when I saw the two bears eating large chunks of watermelon in the competition field, some viewers couldn't help swallowing." As for the surprise? What surprise? If the zoo had not always taken the green and sunny route, this sentence from the mouth of the little beautiful anchor would really cause a lot of misunderstanding. In Xiangshan, the keepers of the two zoos had already left with the two contestants. It seemed that today's competition was really over. Although the tourists were still reluctant to leave, they had no choice but to leave and walked along the stone path towards the canteen. What was the little surprise? Division. If it was fantasy, it would be great. I can write 10 chapters about this fight. Ha ha ha, well, I saw you on a lonely boat. 5 chapters today. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 435. The canteen is located in the center of the zoo. It only takes a few minutes to walk there. Due to the curiosity of the tourists, they did not bother to look at other animals along the way and went straight to the canteen. It didn't take long for them to arrive. A large wooden table 4 to 5 meters long has been set up at the entrance of the canteen, with rows of cut watermelons placed on it. The lady from the canteen is standing beside the table, taking out a large emerald green watermelon from the ice bucket. When I was about to cut it, I saw tourists coming, and greeted me with a smile. Take it yourself, 1 piece for each person, don't eat too much, eat too much. The weather in June was extremely hot. I was standing under the sun just now, shouting and cheering for the fight between 2 bears, and I was sweating all over. Now when I saw the big and juicy watermelon, many tourists even forgot about the surprise. Strode forward to pick up the big watermelon from the table, squatted on the ground and gnawed it. Don't eat the watermelon seeds together, spit them out. A mother glared at her son and threatened, if you eat watermelon without spitting out the seeds, a watermelon tree will grow in your belly. The child's mouth was filled with juice. As he was talking, only the skin was left on a piece of watermelon in his hand, and all the watermelon seeds went into his stomach. The child burped and pointed to a row of objects hanging in the canteen. Mom, I want that. Looking in the direction of his finger, inside the canteen, there were rows of strange-shaped clothes hanging, which looked very familiar. Seeing these clothes, the tourists finally understood what the zoo's little surprise was. The clothes and pendants hanging in the canteen were exactly the same as those worn by the 2 animals during the competition, and could be used for cosplay. In addition to cosplay costumes, a new batch of furry dolls were also put on the counter. It was the dressed-up black bear spirit and panda man Ying, posing in various poses. Although there are not many in number, if you look closely, you can see that the workmanship is very fine. Even small details such as nails and teeth are meticulous and look vivid. If you pay close attention, you will find that every doll and every piece of clothing has a small Daewon logo on it. Several children saw this and put down their half-eaten watermelons, shouting, I want it, I want it. Dolls are not just for children. If they are of good quality and realistic, they can also be collected by adults. Some young tourists also came forward to look around curiously. Watermelon is free, but of course you have to pay for costumes and dolls. The price is not expensive. You can buy a small doll for more than 10 yuan. Even the 2 most expensive 1:1 size panda martial artist and the black bear spirit general only costs over 800 yuan. More than 800 doesn't sound like a lot, but it depends on what kind of goods it is. The black bear general and the pandaran martial artist are both 1:1 life size. They wear the same clothing as they did during the competition. The small pendants and parts of the body are all detachable, and they also come with 2 weapons. The pandaran holds a long green bamboo staff in his hand, and the black bear general holds a fanged yen painted halberd that is as tall as a person. Dolls and costumes of the same size on the market cost at least several thousand. As announced on the competition stage just now, it is a little surprise. The cos and dolls do not bring too much sensational effect, but they fit the theme of the zoo competition very well, which is quite interesting. Anyone can afford to spend more than 10 yuan or dozens of yuan. A batch of newly launched small toys and clothing in the canteen were sold out before noon. 2 life-size, fully armed panda and black bear generals were bought by 2 cosplay enthusiasts. The lady at the canteen was smiling from ear to ear and counted the money all day long. By the afternoon, everyone she saw had a friendly smile on her face. The goods are provided by the zoo, and the canteen can get a 5% commission on the money sold. If this trend continues, If the zoo holds a martial arts competition, the commission she will get will almost catch up to a year's salary. When she happened to see Su Ming passing by, the lady from the canteen quickly took a bottle of pulse from the freezer and rushed over. She said with a smile, "Director, please drink some water." Ah, Su Ming was stunned. He took the water and looked at the expression on the eldest sister's face. He understood something about it. He asked with a smile, "Sister, if you have something to say, just talk about it. We are all our own people. I can still covet a bottle of your drink." "Hey, you are right." The eldest sister rubbed her hands and asked tentatively, "Director, since tourists like it so much, can we hold this competition a few more times a year?" Of course the eldest sister would like to hold it more often. If there were competitions every day all year round, all she would have to do every day is count money, and her income would keep rising. "Sister, don't be joking. Even in the ancient martial arts world, we have never heard of daily martial arts competitions. This is just a strange thing. If there are competitions every day throughout the year, no one will watch them after a long time." Su Ming chuckled, "But don't worry, eldest sister, I will leave the dolls to you to sell from now on. There is no martial arts tournament, but the dolls can still be sold." Su Ming has long had the idea of selling zoo dolls. On the one hand, it can provide extra income to the zoo employees. But most importantly, this is part of the zoo's brand promotion and a peripheral product of the zoo. In the future, every animal in the zoo will have a customized doll. This martial arts tournament is just an opportunity to promote dolls. Even if there is no martial arts tournament in the future, the promotion of the zoo will still have to be carried out in all aspects. "Well, when I get back, I will return all the unsold toys in the canteen and make room for the dolls." The eldest sister was gearing up and getting ready for a big fight. "But there is still a bit of regret, Director. Do you want to raise the price? It's too cheap. I think the quality of those dolls is better than the ones in the mall that cost hundreds of dollars, and they only cost a few dozen dollars." "No, just sell it at this price." Su Ming had considered this point. The purpose of selling dolls in the zoo was not to make money at all. Well-known film and television characters, such as Batman and Warcraft, have a large number of loyal fans. They develop peripheral products and sell dolls and cosplay costumes. The purpose is to make money and turn their influence into real income, so they are expensive. The zoo is just the opposite. The reputation of the zoo is not enough to add value to peripheral products. If it is too expensive, fewer people will buy it. The main purpose of the zoo now is to bring animal dolls into thousands of households, which in turn promotes the zoo. There is a zoo doll at home, and the real body of this doll is in the zoo. It is equivalent to placing a 24-hour parent-child advertisement in every household. When I see the doll, I think of the zoo. The eldest sister basically couldn't understand what Su Ming was talking about consumer psychology, and she just had an unclear feeling. Only the last sentence is understandable, and the effect is better than the advertisement broadcast on CCTV News Network. "Hi. Director, are you really tall? Come on, sister, hurry up and close the stall. I'm leaving." Su Ming smiled. He had a lot of things to do in the evening. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 436. That night, the number of visitors and comments on Douyin Weibo soared from 7 o'clock. There are no secrets in the internet age. Information dissemination only takes a few seconds, the time it takes to move a finger. The news that the zoo held an animal competition has been spread all over the internet through various channels. Animals plus feelings, this is a very good gimmick. In just the first competition, a lot of elements familiar to young people of this era, such as Warcraft, Journey to the West, Dragon Ball, etc., were included. What, you haven't played Warcraft? It doesn't matter. Do you know Super Saiyan? What, you haven't even heard of Super Saiyan? Big sister, you must have read Journey to the West. Okay, even those who haven't read Journey to the West, it doesn't matter. The zoo's competition is still open to you, and there will be no viewing obstacles. You must know animals. Hey, you don't even know what a giant panda is. Haven't seen a black bear? Okay, do you eat watermelon? No. Roll. The competition process of the martial arts competition is full of funny elements, fierce but not bloody, exciting but not too violent. Therefore, the audience of the martial arts competition is very wide, ranging from the elderly in their 70s and 80s to children in their 3s and 4s, suitable for all ages. Watch the excitement, look at the novelty, express feelings, and reminisce the memories of youth. If it were just like this, the martial arts competition might not have received such exaggerated attention as it does now. Because in the final analysis, it is just an animal fight. This program is often seen in the circus. Black bears and monkeys can wear boxing gloves to fight on the stage after a little training. But in the martial arts competition of the zoo, the two contestants did bring everyone a wonderful fight. Although it is impossible to be as exaggerated as the animated characters in the movie, both sides have their own characteristics and fight in a methodical manner. It is definitely not the kind of two animals in the circus that bite and roll randomly. The content king that Su Ming has always adhered to showed its power at this time. Any gimmicks and hype are based on content. Without real solid content, the audience may be attracted by the hype and fooled once, but never for a lifetime. Hype without content can only generate short-term benefits at most, but it will soon overdraw the zoo's credit, which is not conducive to long-term development. The complete high-definition video of the first opening game was posted online by Shenyang at noon that day. Several domestic first-line video websites have reposted it. In less than half a day, the video rushed to the forefront of several websites, and the number of clicks and comments increased sharply every second. Also popular is the Circle of Friends. A large number of short videos of a few seconds are circulated in the Circle of Friends, recording each clip of the game. Interestingly, if someone has done statistics, they will find that the most widely spread and hottest is not the battle between the two bears, or even the surprise brought by their appearance from time to time, but the picture of the two bears who seem to abandon their past grudges and lean back to eat watermelon on the barrel at the end of the battle. After the game, most tourists had left. Some tourists who stayed at the end of the Bear Mountain took a short video. The two bears took one piece each, and soon the watermelon in the barrel was empty, leaving only the last piece. At this time, the two bears actually gave way to each other. The two bears looked at each other, and faced the last piece of watermelon. They did not curse at the grass mud horse and then start fighting as expected. The little black bear took the lead in extending his claws and pushed the watermelon in the direction of the panda. The panda stared at the watermelon in front of it, obviously hesitated for a moment, and then imitated the black bear's actions and gently pushed the watermelon in front of the black bear. This rare moment lasted only a few seconds, and the administrator brought a new watermelon. For the two bears, it may not be mutual courtesy, maybe just a game. Anyway, they had eaten a lot before, and the two bears were originally animals of the same outline. They didn't know each other until they fought, so they were half the same kind. However, this video was posted on the internet, and it seemed particularly loving. Someone even gave it a special title, "After all the aftermath, brothers are still there, and a smile will forget the grudges when we meet." Not to mention the Yang Chuan forum, where a series of posts with pictures and texts almost overwhelmed the travel section. Among the top 10 most popular posts of the day, 5 were related to the zoo. 1 was a discussion between me and it on the previous episode, 1 was the next episode of the civilian anchor audition, and the remaining 3 popular posts were all about the martial arts competition. If someone who didn't know the situation went to the Yangchuan forum for the first time, they would probably think it was the Yangchuan Zoo forum. The internet was buzzing, but Dao Wenyu's Weibo never announced the schedule for the next competition. I started browsing at 7:30. Didn't the director say that it would be announced on Weibo today? Stupid, stupid, he only said that it would be announced on Weibo, but he didn't say it was today. I'm free anyway, so I'll show you a photo. Someone posted a picture of a handsome young man wearing cosplay clothes bought from the zoo, dressing himself up as a black bear monster, with a blood-red cape fluttering. In the corner of the photo, an electric fan is revealed. You are pure white, totally unsuitable for black bears. Look at my wind-walking panda. Someone else posted a photo of a panda doll they bought. Weibo was buzzing with activity, but until midnight, the zoo had not announced the next match list. The martial arts competition was originally the product of Su Ming's imagination. From the moment he had the idea, to planning the first martial arts competition, customizing various dolls and costumes, and building the martial arts arena, it only took half a week. In just half a week, he was able to handle so many things and make the first martial arts competition go smoothly. Even he admired his work efficiency. The subsequent events and match arrangements were not scheduled at all before. Overtime, when the performance is not good, you have to work overtime, and when the performance is good, you have to work overtime even more. In the small office building on the second floor of the zoo, several employees from related departments worked overtime to arrange the next work. Select contestants, determine the cosplay object, set up the martial arts arena, arrange the match schedule. The office is busy all the time. Director Chang, please hurry up and produce the dolls and clothes for me. Don't worry about the money. I will pay you the right amount. The quality must be excellent and the workmanship must be fine. Don't use toxic materials too perfunctorily. Su Ming himself specifically reminded Director Chen of the Yangchuan toy factory. There are too many unscrupulous manufacturers these days. There are a lot of toxic plastic tracks and toxic stuffed dolls. Children can't detect them in a short time, but they will get various diseases over time. Su Ming wants to build a zoo brand, and the peripheral products must be high-end. Don't worry, Mr. Su, if I am willing to use toxic materials, this factory will not have come to this point today, Director Cheng said. This Director Cheng has some background. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 437. Director Cheng was introduced to Su Ming by Wang Jianxi at an entrepreneur symposium. The Yangchuan Toy Factory was established in the early days of the founding of the People's Republic of China. It is a long-established state-owned enterprise. Before the 1980s, it was once one of the best units in Yangchuan City. Later, after the reform and opening up, like most state-owned enterprises, the Yangchuan Toy Factory failed due to various reasons. Gradually began to go downhill. The current Yangchuan City Toy Factory is incomparable to its heyday. Most of the factory buildings and equipment have been sold, and the number of employees is less than 1/10 of the previous number. It can barely survive with subsidies from the city. Wang Jianxi focuses on the economy, and unprofitable state-owned enterprises that hold him back are the biggest headache for him. The purpose of introducing him to Su Ming is to give Su Ming a chance to help him. In fact, not only was he introduced to Su Ming, Wang Jianxi was like a matchmaker, often introducing unprofitable state-owned enterprises in the city everywhere. Although Yangchuan City Toy Factory is not as good as before, it is a state-owned unit after all, and its product safety is more guaranteed than private companies. Nowadays, those who produce toy products are trying every means to reduce costs and use toxic and substandard materials. The toy factory's poor performance is largely due to its insistence on using qualified materials. The cost is several times more expensive than other companies, and of course it cannot make money. After busying for half the night, I finally arranged the follow-up work. Early the next morning, Daewonyoku's Weibo finally released the upcoming schedule, and it was simultaneously transferred to the Yangchuan Forum. Yangchuan Zoo will hold an animal competition every year from June to August during the summer vacation. This year's first martial arts tournament has a total of 16 batches of contestants. It adopts a single round-robin and elimination system. There are a total of 15 matches, held every Saturday and Sunday. Next is the matchup table. Giant snapping turtle vs scale armored python, turtle snake battle. Big mouth giant salamander vs alligator, these two old enemies finally have a chance to settle their scores. Big bad wolf vs wolf dog brothers, this is a 1 vs 2 battle, of course it is not fair, but this is not a regular Olympic game, no one cares about this. Macaw, sister, vs macaw, sister, the competition is mainly about swearing, and points will be deducted for swearing. White-browed gibbons vs macaques. Due to the large number of contestants on both sides, this battle is mainly based on long-range attacks. The zoo provides each side with 100 kilograms of rotten peaches, rotten bananas, rotten apples. Black-backed gorilla vs wild boar second brother. In the battle of the century between the eldest brother and the second brother, who had been hacked for countless years, finally had a chance to make a comeback. A herd of alpacas vs 2 race horses, spitting during the competition. Group of crocodile gar vs 3-legged giant turtle. In addition to the regular competition, there is also a closing battle, a cat-dog battle. A group of cats hang out in the zoo all day long, and a group of dogs hang out in the back mountains all day long. After seeing this battle table, a forecasting trend quickly started in forums and Weibo. Alligator and giant salamander fighting? There is no suspense at all. I guess the alligator will win. That's not necessarily true. Don't forget that both parties are wearing protective gear and cannot use minions. The alligator's advantage cannot be used at all. I bet 50 cents that the giant salamander can come back. Then who do you think will win, the crocodile gar or the old turtle? I can't imagine how they will fight. I'm really looking forward to it. There are also wolf dogs and big bad wolves. I heard that the two wolf dogs in the zoo are both purebred German blackbacks. If 2 against 1, I bet on the wolf dog to win. You can't tell the inside story at a glance. Don't you know that those 2 wolf dogs are usually the little brothers of the big bad wolf? They lost a lot of momentum first. So what, there are no brothers in the arena. Stop talking about that useless thing, open the market, open the market. Gambling is of course illegal, and it is unknown whether there is gambling at the zoo offline. But the Yangchuan City Forum blatantly opened a large casino to place bets on the results of the martial arts tournament. Forum gold coins are used for betting. There is 1 gold coin for each reply in the forum, 5 gold coins for each post, and more gold coins for refined and popular posts. There are usually various activities to obtain gold coins, so there are many netizens in the forum. There are some savings to some extent. The minimum bet is 5 gold coins and the maximum bet is 1,000 gold coins. He really knows how to play. Su Ming smiled when he saw the betting module on the forum, and also invested several hundred gold coins. But he didn't know who would win, so he was just betting on luck. The Yangchuan City Forum even calculated the odds. The most equal is the scolding battle between the parrot sisters. The odds between the two sides are 1:1.04. The parrot sister has a slightly better chance of winning. Maybe netizens think that the younger sister is younger and has not as much experience in scolding as her elder sister. The people who scolded people in the market are all older sisters, and ladies are the most powerful. Unexpectedly, the one with the biggest difference in odds is not the alligator and the giant salamander, but the gorilla and the second senior brother. A handicap of 1:5.2 was opened, which means that the gorilla is generally believed to be more powerful. There is a reason for this. Orangutans and monkeys are nothing, but if there is a pig as a foil, then the orangutan is immediately given a sacred cultural connotation. Come on, great sage. The great sage will win. This is so bad that Su Ming doesn't even want to prepare a golden cudgel for the gorilla. The second senior brother has suffered so much for you. Who said you are a pig? Anyway, you have rough skin and thick flesh, so you should be beaten a few times with a stick. It doesn't matter. Hello, dear audience friends, I am Li Jingjing, the host of Yangchuan TV station. I am now at Yangchuan Zoo, hosting the Yangchuan Zoo martial arts competition for you. Since the previous two bear battle and the final cat-dog battle were both performances and not included in the regular competition schedule, the upcoming one is the first official competition of this conference. It is no exaggeration to say that the first game kicked off in the spotlight. Yangchuan TV station certainly would not miss this great opportunity for local news and sent reporters to do a live broadcast. Su Ming is now equivalent to the half-son-in-law of Yangchuan TV station. A large number of TV station staff and reporters arrived several hours before the live broadcast and chatted around Su Ming. Nangong is now the pillar of the TV station, hosting political and military news. The entertainment news of the zoo was handed over to the female host named Li Jingjing, who was in the same group as Nangong. Since she and Nangong were in the same group before, she had met Su Ming several times and was considered an acquaintance. There is still more than an hour before the competition begins. Director Su, can you tell us about the original intention of holding this martial arts competition? Li Jingjing smiled and said, although it has attracted a lot of attention, a small number of viewers have raised doubts. Will the martial arts competition cause harm to animals? Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 438. Using animals to make money, or even abusing animals to satisfy the curiosity of tourists and achieve profit is common. You can often see relevant reports in the news. A certain zoo anesthetizes tigers to let guests holding a tiger and taking photos for a fee. A certain tourist attraction pulls out the teeth of venomous snakes for tourists to play with. A certain tourist attraction deliberately deprives the animals of food and starves the animals to gain sympathy from tourists. News even broke out a few days ago that there is a temple abroad that specializes in raising tigers and secretly sells tiger cubs for money. As long as there is a profit, beheadings will be sold, not to mention that the victims are those silent animals. Whether at home or abroad, there are many people who rely on animals to make money. Therefore, after the zoo's martial arts competition was announced, some voices of doubt appeared on the internet, questioning whether the zoo's move might be suspected of animal abuse. Fortunately, the zoo has always had a very good reputation. To a certain extent, it can even be said to be a representative of positive energy among enterprises in Yangchuan City. The director Su Ming also has a very good personal reputation, so although there are voices of doubt, but did not directly curse. Most of the people who questioned raised the questions out of concern for the zoo. They just wanted the zoo to get better and better. But in any case, since relevant questions have come out, the zoo must give an answer. They are indeed good sisters. When Su Ming heard Li Jingjing ask this question, he almost wanted to hug her and give her a kiss. Because Su Ming actually arranged for Li Jingjing to raise this question. Li Jingjing was quite confused. Brother-in-law Su asked her to take the initiative to ask this question. Wasn't she asking for trouble? Su Ming had Su Ming's idea. If he answered netizens' doubts directly on the internet, it would look very artificial and unconvincing. Now he just took advantage of the live broadcast on the TV station to let the host ask the question and answer it in front of the camera. Everything goes smoothly. Host, you asked a very good question, Su Ming said with a smile. My original intention of letting animals fight is not to attract tourists. Attracting tourists is just an additional influence. Su Ming pointed to the large cages and buildings in the distance, and said, an old professor from the Provincial Academy of Agricultural Sciences once told me that raising animals artificially is a forced practice. After several generations, Artificial breeding will the animals raised will completely lose their original nature and even become another species. The well-equipped buildings in front of us are nothing more than cages for the animals. In this cage, they are not allowed to live. There is no shortage of food, but there is no shortage of clothing. What is missing is precisely the wildness of wild animals. Letting animals fight is to keep the animals as wild as possible. Well, it is a bit like holding a military performance in peacetime. Of course, the tournament cannot completely solve this problem, and there is no way to make them face the test of life and death like real wild animals, but it is much better than letting all the animals stay in cages all day, and it is also you can prepare for future wild work. Oh, so that's it? They maintain their nature through simple fighting. Li Jingjing nodded. Well, it is a zoo after all. Safety must be ensured first. Even if they wear protective gear, can these animals ensure safety during the fight? It won't hurt. Haha, everyone has seen that the costumes we use for cosplaying animals have been carefully designed and can effectively protect them. Of course, just talking about this issue with words may not be very convincing. Su Ming suddenly showed a strange smile and raised his fingers not far away. The camera turned, and not far away, a human dressed in ancient panda clothing walked out. This man had a fat belly and staggered when he walked. He was more impressive than the panda dressed as Panda Yingying that day. Especially with his big belly, he looks almost exactly like the Pandaran in the game. From under the brim of the low-hanging bamboo hat, you can see a fat face, which is actually Wang Hao. Li Jingjing was stunned, and the audience in front of the camera was also stunned. It's true what I say. This warrior wearing panda protective gear is the general manager of Daowin Entertainment. Now, he will wear a panda costume with the same protective level as that day and fight a bear in person to prove to everyone the effectiveness of protective gear. Safety. If humans can be safe, let alone animals. Wang Hao felt depressed. Yesterday, Su Ming was selecting people at the zoo, and he happened to come into Su Ming's sight. Old Wang, you can't blame others for this. Who made you so fat? In the entire zoo, you are about the same size as a panda. Who else would I look for if I didn't look for you, Su Ming said confidently, and you have rich performance experience, forgot. When the cruise ship opened, some people questioned its safety. Didn't you pretend to fall into the water and be rescued by a snapping turtle? Okay, brother, I guarantee your safety. So Wang Hao was coaxed and deceived and became the target of the experiment. He put on a big panda hood in front of the camera. He extended his head with a knife and retracted his head with a knife. Wang Hao took the risk, twisting his butt, holding a bamboo stick in his hand, strode into the Bear Mountain from the Breeder's Passage, stood on the rockery and roared to the sky. Tribe, never be a slave. This voice startled all the tourists passing by. What kind of fuss was going on in the zoo? In Bear Mountain, 2 black bears were locked in cages. They were too lethal, so they couldn't be used. The little black bear was bathing in the pool. Hearing the noise, he looked up at the sky, but ignored him and continued bathing. To be honest, the bear man can barely be considered a member of the tribe. What's the matter with your roar? Li Jingjing couldn't help laughing in front of the camera, and then asked Su Ming a little worriedly, Mr. Su, are you really okay? Don't worry, what a joke, even without protective gear, Wang Hao wouldn't get hurt with Su Ming here. Wang Hao was not a good-tempered guy. He had risked everything, but he didn't expect that the little black bear didn't take him seriously. Wang Hao was a little angry at the time. He threw his cloak, pointed at the little black bear not far away with a bamboo stick, and shouted, Ah! Black bear, come here and fight to the death with your panda grandpa Wang. The little black bear probably understood it now. He stood up, howled twice, and rushed up to fight with the panda grandpa. Wang Hao had protective gear on his body. He was scratched by the little black bear a few times but nothing happened. he suddenly became brave and actually hugged the little black bear and beat it. One man and one bear, rolling on the ground. After fighting for more than 5 minutes, Wang Hao was finally defeated and escaped from the keeper's passage. "How is it, are you injured?" Li Jingjing rushed up with a camera to interview Wang Hao. Wang Hao's protective gear was torn in several places, but he was fine. He took off his hood and his face flushed with excitement. "It's so humming exciting." "Are you okay?" Li Jingjing asked. "Do you want me to take off all my clothes for you to check?" Wang Hao glared at her, then twisted the little round tail on his butt, strode to Su Ming, and said excitedly, "I think we can open an entertainment project specializing in fighting with animals. It will definitely be popular." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 439. When the tourists around saw Wang Hao like this, they knew that he was not injured at all. What a joke. If he could still jump around like this even if he was injured, then everyone would want to be injured. After hearing Wang Hao's suggestion, some young people who were eager to do something even showed their expectation, rubbing their hands and looking at Su Ming, looking eager to try. Fighting with wild beasts is a rare experience in a lifetime. What's more, it can be guaranteed to be absolutely safe. As Wang Hao said, if the zoo really opens this entertainment project, it will definitely be popular, and people will come to play no matter how much money they spend. There are many rich people in China who have money but nowhere to spend it and want to find excitement. Su Ming shook his head. Real people fighting wild beasts, well, forget about this kind of thing. Su Ming's imagination is not that big. The reason why Wang Hao was able to escape from the fight with the little black bear today was partly due to the protective gear, and partly because Su Ming was sitting on the sidelines and had long been in secret with the little black bear, asking the little black bear to let him go. Although the panda is fat, its ability to withstand blows is definitely not on the same level as Wang Hao. The little black bear slapped Yingying on the head with all its strength. Yingying was at most a little dazed. If it slapped Wang Hao on the head with all its strength, even with protective gear, Wang Hao would have lost a few molars. Su Ming couldn't just watch by the animal pen every day. If one was not careful in the fierce battle, either the people would be unlucky or the beasts would be injured. There was no need for that. Besides, if this project was carried out for the purpose of making money, then it would really be like what some people on the internet questioned, and the martial arts meeting would have changed its flavor, and animals would be abused for economic benefits. Seeing that Su Ming rejected the proposal of the Panda King Grandpa, the onlookers showed some regretful expressions. Dong, dong dong, dong. A burst of exciting war drums suddenly sounded in the distant Bear Mountain. Because the Bear Mountain is large enough and sunken underground, the surrounding area is high and convenient for watching the battle, which is somewhat similar to the ancient Roman Colosseum, so the land battle competitions of the martial arts meeting are temporarily scheduled in the Bear Mountain. The sound of war drums urged people to hurry up, and the rhythmic drum beats announced the official start of the first game. Let's fight. Let's go watch the fight. The tourists who were just around the camera disappeared without a trace and surrounded the Bear Mountain not far away. Okay, dear audience friends, let's follow the camera lens and go to the scene of the first game with Director Su. Before the last opening game, there was only a simple promotion on TV, and not many tourists came. But in the past few days, the video of the first game was widely circulated, and countless free tap water was promoted. The number of tourists who came to watch the second game was completely different from before. The area around Bear Mountain was full of people. Su Ming couldn't tell the exact number, but if we only counted the ticket sales in this half day, the tickets sold in this morning almost caught up with the total number of people in the usual 3 days. It's not unreasonable for the zoo to open the martial arts meeting for free and give away watermelons. It can make a fortune by relying on tickets. Fortunately, the zoo had already prepared and built simple stands around Bear Mountain. The stands were shaped like stands in a large arena, with low front rows and high back rows. Even so, many tourists did not go up to the stands to see more clearly, but came early and crowded at the fence of Bear Mountain. Several security guards led the way in front, and people squeezed and finally opened a bloody path, passed through the crowded area, and climbed onto the rostrum inside Bear Mountain from the keeper passage at the back. The style of the rostrum today has changed significantly compared to the last time. Last time, a row of flags with various family emblems were planted behind the rostrum, fluttering in the wind. The rostrum itself was made of thick logs, and it was rough, looking like a medieval knights competition. Today, the rostrum was decorated with a white background and light blue, and there were a lot of white cotton piled on it for unknown purposes. But if you stand far away, you will find that the rostrum is like a huge cloud floating in the air, and the male anchor who is responsible for the commentary, wearing a Taoist hat and a green robe, looks like an immortal in the clouds. You can see that the design of today's competition venue is in the style of Oriental mythology and legends. The voice of the host Li Jingjing was a little floating. She is also a young girl, standing on the clouds, being the focus of everyone's attention, naturally has a feeling of a little fairy, in such a magical environment, can't help but be shaken. After all, she is a professional host. Li Jingjing finally did not completely lose her mind, cleared her mind, and handed the microphone to Su Ming. Director Su, is the style of today's competition stage to cooperate with the two contestants. Haha, from now on, I am just a spectator like you, so let's ask our anchor today to answer. Su Ming smiled and made way. As a leader, I can't always steal the limelight from my subordinates. The male anchor dressed as a heavenly official did not answer the question directly, but left a handsome profile to the camera with a slight smile. Den-den-den-den, den-den-den-den. Suddenly, a piece of music that everyone is familiar with sounded from the speakers. The classic soundtrack of Journey to the West, Havoc in Heaven. After hearing this music, the audience immediately fell silent for a moment. The audience, which was noisy just now, immediately became silent. All the audience, regardless of gender, age, or status, stopped talking at the same time when the music started, forgot what they were doing, and their thoughts were suddenly drawn to their own memories. That was China's first large-scale ancient costume myth drama. That was the green time that we had to stay in front of the TV every summer vacation. It was a symbol of invincibility, an unyielding fighter, and the first time in life that we understood that no matter how many hardships and obstacles we experienced, justice would definitely defeat evil, and good people would definitely defeat bad people. Even if we no longer believe this when we grow up, it has already planted an indelible hope and yearning for light in our hearts. How many times have I cried for the stupid monk who drove away the loyal monkey? How many times have I laughed at the lustful pig? How many times have I seen the 7 big sisters bathing in the water in thin clothes with their bellies exposed, their faces flushed, but I couldn't help but want to take another look. How many times have I felt sorry for the infatuated female king, and the sigh of how can there be a way to have both in the world, and not to disappoint the Tathagata and not to disappoint the lover seemed to float forever over the country of women that year. In an instant, everyone present seemed to have returned to a cool summer night at the same time. In my ears, the rebellious shout echoed, "Take my stick!" A childish voice suddenly sounded somewhere in the stands, breaking the silence of the audience. "Sun Wukong! Mom, Sun Dashan is coming!" A stone stirred up 1,000 waves, and the next second, all the tourists in the audience were boiling. "Great sage! Great sage! Great sage! Great sage! Great sage! Great sage!" One voice, 10 voices, 100 voices, from audiences of different ages and genders, blended together without any sense of disobedience, resounding over the arena. Dividing line. By the way, My two favorite episodes are the one about the spider spirit and the one about the mouse spirit. Emma is so beautiful. Super Zoo. Author, Yin Seg Nian Bai. Chapter 440. The whole place was in an uproar, and the shouts of tourists shouting for the great sage even covered up the music from the loudspeakers. Many young spectators even stood up and waved their fists excitedly. The only thing that felt a bit inconsistent was that there were several people in the audience wearing cosplay costumes. Since the last competition was generally in the style of Warcraft, the costumes sold afterwards were also in the style of Warcraft. Therefore, these cos enthusiasts were dressed in a style that had nothing to do with Journey to the West. They were completely characters from World of Warcraft. The whole audience was shouting "Great Sage," and it was immediately obvious that these people were here. They stood awkwardly in the crowd. You looked at me, I looked at you, with helpless expressions on their faces. Damn it, we are really not here to cause trouble. Many tourists nearby have noticed these guys, and even the cameras on the rostrum in the distance have turned in this direction. A guy dressed as the Lich King had an idea. Screw it, couldn't the Lich King just follow suit? Great Sage. On behalf of the people of Lord Aaron, I support you, Great Sage. The Lich King waved his fist and shouted. Well, the Lich King took the lead and roared like this, and the other Kos also followed suit. Undead warriors, Shadow Pandaren, Tauren, Lich King, along with the crowd of spectators, waved their fists and loudly shouted the name of the Eastern Monkey. Amidst the thousands of calls, the background music said, "Here comes my grandson." In a red cloud, a burly black-backed golden-haired gorilla, wearing a bright red cloak, a purple gold crown with phoenix wings, chain-locked gold armor, and lotus silk walking cloud boots, appeared majestically in the competition field. In the middle, the man stood up and let out a wild roar into the sky. 10 years ago, most audiences would not have been able to accept the depiction of a ferocious gorilla playing the role of Sun Wukong. However, in recent years, a large number of movies and TV shows about Journey to the West have been put on the screen, and many strong animalistic elements have been added to the traditional image of Sun Wukong. His side is not entirely clever or brave, but also has a fierce and even cruel side. You know, when Sun Wukong in the original book was a monster, he just grabbed a few people to eat. So when the gorilla appeared, it was not difficult to accept it. The only thing that was a little uncomfortable was that the great sage seemed to have just returned from traveling in Africa and was a little tanned. However, this flaw is almost completely covered up by the extremely arrogant and eye-catching outfit that fits the original work. What's even more exaggerated is that one of the gorilla's hands is beating its chest hard, while the other hand is holding a big stick. The big stick is covered with stars, engraved with dragons and phoenixes. The patterns are densely covered with frightening ghosts and gods, and the two sections of golden light are brilliant. It is the legendary Ruyi Golden Cudgel. This match is, of course, Gorilla vs Wild Boar second senior brother. According to the previous game schedule, the first game was between the Snapping Turtle and the Overlord Python. Su Ming saw that the demand for the Monkey King on the internet was too high, so he made a temporary adjustment and let the gorilla start this good start. The host Li Jingjing on the rostrum felt the same as all the audience at this time. The emotion from the beginning has turned into shock. They had long expected that today's competition would also be a cosplay, and they even guessed the cosplay partner without any surprise. But what people didn't expect was that the zoo was actually willing to put so much effort into creating a costume that was used in front of them. It is a luxurious scene that can be filmed in a movie. The gorilla's costume at this time is no weaker than the image in the movie, and it is more luxurious than most TVs. This is also Su Ming's consistent purpose. Either don't do it, or do it well. Publicity is necessary, but you must not rely on gimmicks and publicity to deceive tourists. There are tourist attractions everywhere. Su Ming is not the only one who can come up with novel and interesting projects. Great ideas are everywhere. But why do most of the good projects fail in the end? Just because of the word serious. After seeing some benefits, the organizer's mind shifted to how to make more money, and neglected to complete the project in a down-to-earth manner. Since Su Ming is in charge, he will not let this happen to the zoo or any of his subordinate companies. Li Jingjing sat stunned on the stage, even forgetting her interview mission and interacting with the male anchor. However, the male anchor kept his mission in mind and did not introduce the contestants like Su Ming did in the last game. It actually needs no introduction at all. After the gorilla appeared, the male anchor shouted into the microphone, "Where is the canopy Marshal Zhu Ganghai? Capture that monster monkey for me." Boom. Boom boom. The sound of heavy footsteps came from underground, as if something huge was approaching the competition ground from a distance. At the bottom of Bear Mountain, in a newly opened dark cave, there was a heavy breathing sound of huki, hu-hu, hushiki. Two small blood-red eyes, like two small lanterns, shine with bloodthirsty light in the dark cave. There was a thunder in the sky, and I made a shining appearance. Oh no, it's second senior brother Kindness who appears. Wow, what a big pig. Oh my god. Second senior brother has revealed his true form. There was a gasp from the sidelines. The second senior brother in the field was also unexpected. It did not perform any cosplay and appeared in its usual wild form. Its long and thick mane sprouted and it walked to the opposite side of the gorilla in one step. 7 or 8 meters away, he stood still, raised his two big fangs, and roared at the gorilla. As a wild boar, it doesn't need any protective gear at all, and its hard skin is the best protection. The second brother without cosplay makes the audience feel more real. As we all know, monsters like the second brother and the bull demon king are the most powerful after they show their true form. The second brother, who weighs 500 kilograms, stands there like a small mountain, full of oppression, which can show that in the face of the strong pressure of Sun Wukong, the second brother chose the strongest form to fight. The battle started without warning. Boom 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 boom, the ground of the entire arena was shaking, and the second brother took a short sprint and took the lead in attacking. Sun Dashan, or the gorilla, is also a player with strength, but compared with other primate zoos, it is not stupid enough to wrestle with the running second brother, but uses its own flexibility advantage to jump high in the air and avoid the sprint of the second brother. In mid-air, the gorilla used the golden hoop in his hand to lash the thick back of the second brother. The hard skin of the second brother could even withstand the shotgun, and the rubber golden hoop certainly could not cause substantial damage to it, but the movement was very shocking. Pop! A loud bang, like a firecracker, resounded throughout the venue.